All right, good morning, everyone. This is Dave Nadler with the National Weather Service in Peachtree City. Thank you all for joining us for this special briefing on Hurricane Nate. All right, so what's changed since yesterday? Well, a lot actually. We actually just got off the phone with the Hurricane Center about 45 minutes ago, and Nate's basically over the warm open waters of the Gulf of Mexico right now, and it's now a kind of a high-end Category 1 hurricane, max winds with the update that's going to be coming out here shortly. I believe they're going to have it at about 90-mile-per-hour winds. And I guess the latest forecast track as it approaches land is it's expected to be a Category 2 hurricane, somewhere in that 100 to 105 mile per hour wind range just before landfall within the next 12 hours. So the threats for North and Central Georgia we're still emphasizing the heavy rain, gusty winds, increased tornado threat, especially tomorrow afternoon for the tornado threat. That's all stays the same. We're just going to have to adjust maybe the magnitude, timing, and locations just a little bit. We'll get into that here in just a second. Latest track. This is actually what you're seeing here is a forecast track that the Hurricane Center sent out a couple of hours ago. They're going to have a new track and location in the next probably in the next 15 minutes or so, if not already. But as I mentioned earlier, Nate's already a Category 1 hurricane. It's expected to intensify to Category 2 status just before landfall. The motion is actually pretty quick, north-northwest at about 22 to 24 miles per hour. That actually could have an impact on certainly the winds that we see, because the hurricane will diminish and decrease in intensity quickly as it makes landfall, moves inland. But based on a pretty rapid forward speed, some of those tropical storm force winds could get in here into parts of north and central Georgia a little bit sooner, and it could be a little bit stronger than what we were talking about yesterday. So anyway, that's the latest on the kind of location, current strength and speed of Hurricane Nate right now. So latest watches at this point, and this may change a little bit, certainly with the tropical storm watches. The counties that are outlined in that lighter red color on the left side are right now currently under a tropical storm watch. Includes Atlanta. We will likely be considering tropical storm warning here throughout the day. So anticipate those under a watch going into a warning here in the next few hours by this afternoon. We're not sure if we're going to expand the watches or warnings to the south and east at this point. We're talking about that right now. And later on this afternoon, if any changes are made to the watches or warnings, we'll probably send out a quick email update to everybody so you're aware of the changes. The right graphic shows, in addition to the wind threat, we definitely have a heavy rain threat. Flash flood watch is in effect for much of our northern counties. I'll show the rainfall graphic, expected rainfall graphic here in just a minute, but if we're looking at anywhere from 3 to 5 inches of rain over a relatively short period of time in the higher elevations, that's where we expect the flash flood threat to be a little bit higher, and that's why we have the flash flood watch in effect for those counties that are highlighted in green at this point. Okay, next slide. This is from the National Hurricane Center. We've shown this before with tropical systems. This is basically the earliest reasonable time of arrival that's overlaid over the probability of seeing tropical storm force winds. Now, the graphic that you see with the colors, those are the probabilities of seeing tropical storm force winds basically in the next 48 hours. This graphic will change a little bit as, of course, as the hurricane gets closer to the coast and then starts to turn inland. So basically, if you can extrapolate, I'll draw here, if you can extrapolate this area kind of increasing, going across central Alabama, northeast Alabama, and northwest Georgia, those probabilities are going to increase with time. Basically, this is based off of this morning's forecast. So just wanted to show you that. And then the earliest reasonable time of arrival to see some of these winds across like Columbus down towards Americus and east could be as early as tonight, basically this evening. Basically between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, we could start seeing in some of the initial rain bands that are moving in from well ahead of the storm, we could see, you know, gusts to 30, 40 miles per hour out of these bands of showers and even thunderstorms. Now, the next graphic I'll show you will be the most likely time of arrival. That should change over there. So what we're expecting most likely time of arrival is a little bit later, basically moving into our forecast area late tonight into the more early morning hours on Sunday, and then increasing basically southwest to northeast across the area through the day tomorrow. And that's kind of the most likely time of arrival, but we want to give you kind of that earliest time of arrival just to plan a little bit ahead of time. It's always good to err on the side of caution of when these stronger winds might start to approach the area. So that's the latest probability graphics for tropical storm force winds and then time of arrival. What we have next, the next graphic will show just our latest kind of expected wind, strongest wind gusts, basically, and this is going to be, again, late tonight through the day tomorrow and into early Sunday evening before things start to improve as the storm is expected to move away from the area. But the highest wind gusts at this point, at least the longest duration of highest winds, are expected to be, again, closer to the center of where Nate's going to track, and that's going to be, you know, generally northwest Georgia, northern Georgia, the higher elevations, ridge tops. We could see 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. Across metro Atlanta, 30 to 40 mile per hour winds is not out of the question, and we could see some isolated higher amounts or higher gusts, especially if any more organized rain bands move across the area. We saw that with Irma. The winds would kind of die off a little bit in between the rain bands, but then when the next band of heavier rain came in, the winds kicked up a little bit into a higher wind gust. So the impacts from this, certainly, if we start to see a prolonged duration of 30 to 40, even 50 mile per hour winds, we all know that, you know, we're going to see some downed trees that could result in power outages, some trees down on houses, things like that. So those impacts are still going to be there, especially from along I-85, Atlanta metro area, all the way to the west and north of those locations. So we're going to probably tweak these winds a little bit through the afternoon, and with later updates, we'll keep everybody. We're going to wind up doing probably an update briefing later on this evening, but this is what we have right now as far as the maximum wind gust across the area. Rainfall, latest rainfall, basically beginning later today all the way through tomorrow and tomorrow night. We're expecting generally from like LaGrange toward Griffin, north across Atlanta, and then parts north. You see that gradient increase. We're expecting anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, but as we head north from Rome, Canton, Blairsville into the northern counties of Georgia, we expect higher amounts, anywhere from maybe 3 to 5 inches of rain. And again, in the higher elevations, complex terrain, with that amount of rainfall, we know that the grounds are relatively dry. They'll be able to kind of absorb a lot of this rain, but in the higher elevations, that's when we can expect an increased flash flood threat, especially over urban areas, over low-lying areas, and any areas that have poor drainage. So these amounts don't get fixed on the actual values, because we can certainly see areas of localized higher amounts, especially if any of the rain bands sort of set up and train over the same areas for a period of time. So that's our latest rainfall graphic. And then finally, the tornado potential. Basically, the entire area is going to be under the risk for tornadoes. What I have as the graphic loads is a simulated radar from basically late tonight through the day on Sunday into Sunday evening to about 8 p.m. Sunday. As we see the rain bands start to increase as Nate approaches, as it kind of goes across Alabama, the center of the storm, we're going to be on that east-northeast sector, that eastern quadrant of the storm. That's in the warm sector. That's where we expect the deepest instability, along with the strongest low-level wind shear, to kind of come together late tomorrow, or through the day tomorrow, I should say. So in any of these rain bands that really get organized and developed out ahead of Nate, we can see the potential for tornadoes. So we don't know how many. We're hoping it's going to be a minimal number. We hope there won't be any at all, but the threat's there, and it wouldn't shock me one bit if parts of the area go under even a tornado watch sometime tomorrow to sort of account for the tornado potential. Not sure exactly where that's going to happen at this point, but just be prepared that that is a threat in addition to the stronger gusty winds and the heavier rain as Nate approaches the area tomorrow. Okay, really, let's just wrap it up here, and then I'll answer any questions. Basically, as I mentioned earlier, big changes from yesterday is that Nate is stronger than what was earlier predicted. It's now a Category 1 hurricane, roughly around 90 miles per hour. It's expected to be a Category 2 storm just before landfall, basically within the next 12 hours, somewhere over the mouth of the Mississippi River, Mississippi Gulfport, Biloxi area. The probability for tropical storm force winds, basically gusts greater than 40 miles per hour, will increase across much of north and central Georgia, but especially areas west of I-85, northwest Georgia, northern Georgia. Impacts we talked about already: down trees, down power lines, which can certainly result in power outages across the area. Additional hazards to the wind are going to be the rainfall with increased flash flood threat, mainly across North Georgia at this time. Due to the complex terrain and the slightly higher rainfall amounts that we're expecting through tomorrow night into early Monday morning. And then finally, the tornado threat is going to be there. And mainly the tornado threat is going to be more tomorrow morning through the afternoon and evening hours. We are expecting some showers and storms possibly developing as early as this afternoon into tonight, with some of those initial rain bands or like a pseudo warm front moving across the area. We don't expect the tornado threat to really be, there with these initial rain showers, but later tonight into the day tomorrow, that threat will increase. Many of you are probably wondering when things are going to improve. Due to the fast nature of the movement of Nate, that's good news in the sense that it's not going to stall out. We expect that forward motion of 20 to 25 miles to sort of continue. As it moves inland, the forward motion may actually slow down just a little bit. But as Nate continues to move and turn to the north-northeast, it's going to sort of get picked up by the upper level westerly winds and should increase its speed once again late tonight through the day tomorrow. So by Sunday night into Monday, the system should be well northeast of the area and conditions should start to improve, especially on Monday.